Thank you so much for coming on the program today, Kate. Absolutely fantastic to have you here. I just want to, before we even start, I want to just draw attention, if people are watching this on video, I know some people will just be listening, but I've got this awesome family photo of myself in the background here. I am recording this from our kitchen, which is not where I normally go. We've got a plumber in the house, so the office was a bit noisy, and I thought I'll find the quietest place that I can. So I'm just pre-framing that for everybody listening. You hear a bit of plumbing noise going on in the background. It's all good, all happening. But really, I'm super excited to have you on, Kate. Just a bit of an intro. We've been working together. It must be a few years now.
I think it's probably been well over 5 years.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the other day.
That's right. It's fantastic to have known you for that long. I ran a marketing agency for a little while, and that's how we first started working together. You were doing some of the design and I was doing some of the marketing for some shared clients and that kind of thing. Yeah. And now that we're working primarily with massage therapists, there's been a whole advantage to having someone that we know so well, that we know does great design, to be able to bring some of your skills to the massage world as well. Yes. So I wanted to just get you on the podcast, ask you a few questions, and try and really help people understand the importance of design and how to find a designer and how to get great design that can really help move their business forward. Yeah. So is there maybe something you want to introduce yourself with? Share a little bit about yourself and the studio that you run and what you do right now.
Absolutely. Well, D&Co is an agency that specialises in branding. We have an award-winning team, so we're very proud of that. There's myself and Nozomu and Ruth and Georgia. So we all collaborate all around Australia. They're located in Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne. And I suppose because of that, we're able to be really nimble and help our clients all around Australia. It doesn't have to be locally. So we're lucky in that sense. So we really just focus on strong relationships and getting the best for our client with regards to their brand.
It sounds fantastic. And when you say the word branding, because I know this is going to mean different things to different people, when you say the word branding, does branding mean a logo, or exactly what does branding mean?
Sure. So your brand does include your logo, but it's only one part of it. So it's the totality of an experience that someone has when they come in contact with your business, pretty much. So it does include your logo. It includes your marketing material, your advertising, the way you present yourself online, the way you present yourself in person, like it might be your uniforms. Like I've suggested, that I can share resources with your group if it helps them to better understand what a brand is and what it's not. So I'm more than happy to post a link to a couple of ebooks.
Yeah. That would be fantastic. What we might do is in the show notes for this program, if you've got a link to a downloadable or something there, we'll pop it in the show notes. So if you're listening, head over to the show notes and we'll pop a link in there for you to download some extra stuff around branding. I just want to share a little story. This is back from my agency days, but I remember going and visiting a guy down he was down the coast somewhere, down in Torquay. Yeah. And I rock into the cafe where I'm meeting this guy, introduce himself, and on his shirt, he's got a logo on his shirt, printed on his shirt. I'm like, yeah, great. Have a bit of a chat to him. But then in the process, he hands me a business card. And the business card, it's the same business name, but it's a different logo to the one on his shirt. And I'm like, oh, what's going on there? And he said, I changed my logo, but I still had the old shirts. So I've just, kept them. They were still good. I'm like, oh, that's not so cool. And then I sit down, we're talking about web stuff. So he opens up, I think it was my laptop. We open up the laptop, we have a look at his website. And on his website, he's got a different logo again and even a different business name. It's like a totally different business name and logo. I'm like, what's going on? He said, I couldn't get the domain name for the other business name. So I just got a new domain name. And then I thought, well, I'd better change the logo to match the new name. I'm like, dude, you're working 3 times as hard as you need to, because every time someone sees you, you look different.
Totally.
And to me, that's kind of the essence of brand. It's making sure that every time someone sees you, it's consistent. Yeah. And even, especially logos, they should just always be consistent. But even the other things like the look and feel of your photography, the fonts that you use, the colors that you choose across all sorts of different marketing pieces, if they're all sort of supporting that one main idea of who you are, then that's the brand, that's the branding. And it is really hard. It's like people say, what's brand? Oh, is it just a logo? Like, well, kind of, kind of no. It's so much bigger than that.
It is, absolutely. But consistency is king or queen
Yeah.
It's so key. And when you're not consistent, it doesn't instill confidence in that person that you can deliver the results that they're after. There's a bit of a disconnect. So it's really important to be consistent.
Yeah. And the look and feel of the brand does tell new people who haven't seen you before so much about what your business is. And even in massage, we see, some people have very sort of what I would call a high-end brand or a classy looking brand. And they're sort of the day spa-y kind of places. And then other people have a very almost clinical or medical brand. Other people have very sportsy looking things. How do you see that playing out? Like, what's the importance of design and branding for a business like that?
Oh, it's absolutely essential. The manner in which you communicate your business's personality is absolutely essential if you want to attract your ideal client. So, for example, if you're a sports massage therapist and you're looking like a day spa, you're going to attract very different clientele to what you're actually wanting. So perception is really key when it comes to that. So if you want to attract sports clients or sport clientele in that industry, you need to market yourself like a sports massage therapist instead of a day spa, or, it's really essential to make sure that you get your target audience really clear, and then market it to their needs and wants pretty much.
That is such a true statement. And it sounds kind of obvious, right? But it is one of the big mistakes I see people making. They choose a logo that might appeal to them. It's like, oh, I want something nice and flowery, or I want something with a butterfly or something because I love butterflies. But they don't think about, but what is your target audience? What are they going to perceive that as meaning, or how do they see your business because of that logo or that branding? Yeah, so that's cool. A flow on from that is, how do you then make sure that everything is consistent? What is actually, what does it look like to make sure everything is consistent? Once I've got a logo or something like that, how do I make sure the rest of my marketing falls into line with that?
Sure. So one of the key assets that you could get developed by your graphic designer would be a style guide. So a style guide's really just pretty much a document that outlines the elements of your brand. So it might be your colours, the way your logo identity is used, I suppose. You might have a stacked version. You might have one that's more horizontal, that's better for, different applications. And obviously your fonts, and maybe the images that you utilise throughout all your marketing and social media. It doesn't have to be complex. And we tend to do one pages now, which make it a lot easier. But it helps our clients to be really clear, okay, when I'm doing marketing pieces, I use these fonts and I use these colours, so they can replicate it exactly without having to guess too much about, I'm not sure what that is, or it just takes out the guesswork and makes things really consistent. So it makes it easier for everyone involved, pretty much.
I love that. It's absolutely perfect. And the good thing about a style guide too is if you do start getting other people involved in your design, like if you, I don't know, do a newspaper ad or something like that, and the actual newspaper is going to create the ad for you, or a designer or something, you can give them the style guide, and you know that they're going to produce something that is still consistent with the brand that you've developed.
Absolutely.
As well as for yourself. Otherwise, over time, things can change and different things look different in different places, which doesn't help. So you mentioned that this is one of the things that you could get a designer like yourself or whatever designer to work on, is that as a business owner, I can get a logo and then a style guide that goes with it. It just makes me want to ask the question, like, what should a new business have at the start? Like, what should they actually get created as part of their business? Is just a logo and a style guide enough, or are there other things? What do you normally recommend?
Well, I suppose it really depends on that individual business and what they are wanting to achieve. Every business is different. So when we chat to a client with what they require, we kind of listen to, okay, so what are you needing? What do you perceive as the best value that you need to promote your business? And some of the time I'm not sure, and that's okay. We just have a chat about, okay, so do you do a lot of networking? Do you do a lot of social media advertising? Do you do a lot of, is it all through web? Do you get a lot of your referrals through web? It really depends. So, but generally speaking, the cornerstone would be your brand identity and a style guide. So if you choose to get some things designed in the future, you've got a strong basis to build that from. And things like business cards and social media graphics tend to be one of the baseline products that most people need. And then from there, we kind of tailor it depending on what they're requiring. So, yeah, but they tend to be the primary things that people need.
Yeah, I would agree, especially for massage therapists. A lot of them use business cards, not just when they're meeting people, but also as a little reminder for like the next appointment. They'll scribble that on the back, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So it's great to have business cards done that match the brand properly.
Yeah.
And then social media is just one of the cornerstones of marketing. If they've got some social media graphics that match everything else really nicely, then that's a really good head start to make sure that everything else is working well.
Yeah.
What do you think? And I don't specifically want you to share your pricing structure or anything.
I'm more than happy to.
I guess it depends. It might be better just to be looking at, in general, what should people allocate as a new business, especially thinking about something that's fairly small and often a solo business for a massage therapist starting up. Realistically, what should they be spending at the start, and then maybe as they grow, they get things redone down the track or something? What does that look like often for a new client?
Sure. I mean, the one thing that I've noticed a lot whilst I've had my business is that a lot of people make price-driven choices, and whilst that's understandable, it's sometimes not the best way to go about it. You should be choosing a designer based on if you feel that they're a good fit with your business, not necessarily price. It's about the quality and also the value that they can add to your brand and your business. And it's an investment. I know people look at it as, it's expensive. It's probably one of the most expensive things that you'll, pay for, but it's an investment. And when it's done properly, you won't need to revisit it for a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
You might just need to tweak things in the future, and that's it, because it's been done properly.
Yeah. And the thing I see is that with design, there's such a huge price range. It's like you can literally go on to Fiverr and get a logo that's just from some stock logo thing. It'll cost you $5, like literally. Yeah. Right through to some, big agency that probably does much bigger businesses than we're talking about.
Yeah.
They would charge 20 or 30 grand for a logo and brand design. And we're talking about, for banks and that kind of stuff. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars.
They do.
So there's this just absolutely massive price range.
Yeah.
And I guess it does come down to, like you're saying, if you look at the brand as a really major asset for your business, I guess it comes down to the commitment that you have for your business, right? If you want to create something that's a full-time career for yourself and you want to become well-known and you're like, I'm putting in place here steps that are going to keep me in business for the next 5 or 10 years. It's an investment into my business. Then spending a couple of $1,000s maybe is a good investment into that kind of longevity of brand. Absolutely. Whereas if you are just messing around on the weekends and having a bit of fun and whatever, then that's where you can go. Fiverr might still be a bit too cheap, but that's where you can go and just find something that's a little bit cheaper.
Like Freelancer or Odesk.
That sort of stuff. 99 Designs is a great little thing, couple of $100. Yeah. But those kind of things are still not going to come with all that experience and consultation that comes with getting an actual designer to help you.
Yeah.
It kind of fits a need for people who have a very, very simple want.
Yes.
But I really do recommend, just like you're saying, if you're going to have a long-term business model, you're trying to set things up properly, then getting a good brand is part of that.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the main things that you invest in apart from business coaching. It would be one of the main things that catapult your success into the future.
I love that you dropped the business coaching thing in there, Kate. Nice one. It's like reverse product placement. I'm meant to be.
Well, one of the main things that I invested in when I first started my business was a business coach. So I totally agree that business coaching is one of the main important things that got me to where I am today. So
yeah, for sure. And I mean, I appreciate that. We're definitely the same. As you know, both Alicia and myself have had separate business coaches for separate businesses. We still have coaching now, like 10 years later since we first started.
Yeah.
Because it is such an amazing thing.
Totally.
And I ran a digital marketing agency and I still work with professional designers too. I think that's part of the point here as well, is that when it comes to being able to say, you know what, I'm a massage therapist or whatever I am, sure, I could mess around trying to create my own logo. I could get someone cheap to kind of do it. But really, if I want something good, it's worth getting an expert in that area to actually do it and help me. Yeah. And it's just the same as like doing bookwork. You know, why do your own bookwork forever? Get a bookkeeper, get an accountant. Let the experts that do their things well help you.
Saves you time.
Saves you time, saves you energy, and you end up with a better product at the end, a better experience for the clients that come in. It's more professional, it's smoother. Everything flows along more quickly. So that's awesome, Kate. If someone is listening to this and they're going, great, I can see I need a new logo, or I'm just starting up, I'm ready to take these steps. What do you think for them is the next best thing to do? How would they find the right designer for them? Whatever price range they happen to be looking at. How do they know that they're going to get the right person, that they're going to get a design that's actually going to help them in their marketing and their business?
Absolutely. Well, I suppose one of the main things would be asking your close affiliated network if they have anyone that they can recommend themselves. So word of mouth referral is probably the strongest referral that you'll ever receive or, chat about pretty much. So if they've had experiences with a great designer, it's, no harm in asking them what was their experience like with that designer, and then doing your homework and seeing if they're a good values fit for you. Not all designers will fit with everyone. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It just means finding the designer that's going to fit with what you want. I suppose their portfolio and their expertise will showcase that on their website and through their social media, even having a chat to them in person or on the phone, a Zoom meeting. You get a good vibe for people and if they're a good fit. I'd strongly recommend doing your homework pretty much and not rushing into any decision too quickly. Find the one that fits you and, just do your homework on that, I think.
Yeah, and I reckon from a portfolio, you can often tell if they've got the kind of design that you're looking for. Because you're right, a good designer tends to have a bit of a look and feel. I mean, they can be flexible according to the clients, of course, but they have a kind of a look and feel that they develop themselves. Yeah. A good designer themselves becomes known for a certain type of work or a certain type of brand. Yeah. So if you find someone is recommending a designer and you go and look at their stuff and you're like, oh, all they design is like, I don't know, bands for heavy metal, logos for heavy metal bands or something. It's like, it's not way. They're a great designer, but not for me. Yeah. And so then maybe you can find the portfolios that have the same kind of stuff that you're looking for or in the same industry, which is really great. Absolutely. And certainly the links that I'll put below the show notes, absolutely happy to put your link in there as well, Kate. Do you want to just say what's the best way to get in touch with you? Would it be through your website or social media?
My website address is www.dandcostudio.com.au.
Beautiful. So we'll put that in the show notes as well. But if anyone does want to touch base, dandcostudio.com.au, and I'm sure they can find all your social media and that sort of stuff from there as well.
Absolutely.
It's been really awesome to have a chat with you today. Thank you so much for jumping in and sharing your knowledge of brands and all that kind of stuff.
Thank you for having me.
I know a lot of the people listening are going to be able to really take this and up their game as far as presenting themselves to the world. And I do see brand as one of those foundational things that happens beneath and supporting all the marketing that people do. Because it's kind of like once you've got that brand in place, then you start going, you do your Facebook, you do your web, you do your brochures, all that kind of stuff. They're all consistent. They're all pulling in the same direction. It has a huger impact than if they're all working separately. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today.
Thank
you. We'll catch up with you soon.
Sounds good. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.